Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first ever NAHQ Insider Live. I'm Stephanie Mercado, and I'm the CEO of the National Association for Healthcare Quality. And I am here with members of the board of directors that will include Patty Resnick, April Taylor, and Sharonda Fessler. I'm going to present an overview of what NAHQ has going on in our current and new market research. And I'm going to speak for about 25 minutes before I invite my esteemed colleagues and board members to join me for a conversation. At NAHQ, we are really excited to have this open forum where we can give you an inside look at what is going on at NAHQ. And we can also elevate the profession and advance the discipline of quality and safety together. We are trying Zoom out as a format so that we can improve our interaction with all of you. And because other formats only allow for a one-way chat, which we felt like kind of put a barrier between us and our constituents. And we did not want to have that limitation. We want to be as close to our constituents as we could possibly be. So we're trying out this format and we look forward to your feedback. Today, we're going to share some impactful ways that you can join NAHQ's quality mission. And we're going to leave plenty of time for questions, as I mentioned. And we want to make sure at the end of the day, you feel like this meeting was about you and it was for you. We'd love to hear from you throughout the presentation, so you can feel free to jump in on the chat and weigh in with questions, comments, or feedback. And during the presentation, our staff here at headquarters will be collecting your thoughts and will be selecting questions to be answered by our leaders. NAHQ staff will reach out to you in the chat and ask if you would like to ask your question live and come on camera and audibly state your question, or if you would rather just have them read the question for you and then pick up whatever you laid down in that chat. So they're right on top of these levels of feedback, and we're super happy that you're here with us today. So because you're here, it means that you are interested in how to tap into the power of quality and safety. Some people here already know that it's a critical tool for advancing issues that we face in healthcare. And there are some people on this call as well that are new to healthcare quality and just interested in learning a little bit more about quality and NAHQ. So the first thing I want to make sure that we're really clear about is NAHQ is here to help you. We can make sure that we do that by keeping strong and tight on our purpose and mission and vision statements. NAHQ's board of directors has recently updated these to better reflect our commitment to leading the way in quality and safety and clearing the path for everyone here who works hard every single day to advance the healthcare quality discipline. Our purpose at NAHQ is to elevate the profession and advance the discipline of healthcare quality across the continuum of care. We do this through setting the standard for quality and safety, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more in a few minutes, and by helping individuals and increasingly helping organizations like yours achieve this. We call our vision the power of Q. That means to us better healthcare quality and safety, and really better healthcare for everyone. To achieve this, NAHQ has over 20,000 members and professionals who are holding the CPHQ certification, and we are present in more than 45 countries around the world. We partner with more than 150 organizations who are working with us to support their teams, and we are touching students who are getting exposed to our content in their academic curriculums in nursing schools, graduate programs in quality and safety, and even health business administration programs. And it is through all of these numbers that we achieve our strength and our power to help advance quality and safety. Because at NAHQ, the Q is you. So let's take a moment and look inside what NAHQ has been doing to lead the way and also to clear the path so that you can achieve and advance your quality and safety goals at your organization. So I want to start with the single most foundational element required to advance healthcare quality. It is the centerpiece of all of our work. It's the industry standard. It's the healthcare quality competency framework. So why do we need a standard? Because we know that quality relies on everyone in the healthcare ecosystem, from the front lines to the quality department, all the way to the C-suite and to the board. But We think it's not enough to say it's everyone's job without explaining exactly what that means. For decades, healthcare quality and safety have been evolving on the fly at a local level without the benefit of a standard. The dominant strategy for preparing the workforce in quality and safety has been on-the-job training, as many of you know and have experienced yourselves. And we know most people came to quality as a second profession, or maybe they just touch it generally as a discipline because they have a broader role in the organization. Nevertheless, today there are 5 generations working in healthcare who have been trained differently or not at all in quality and safety. Not only that, but quality and safety is often picked apart into different work streams like patient experience, infection prevention, health data analytics, equity, and social determinants. Because the industry is not aligned yet on a standard of what quality should be, it's hard to know where it begins and where it ends, or how all the areas that are contributing to quality should be connected in order to achieve those goals. At NAHQ, we believe strongly that the time has come for us, for all of us, to reject the notion that quality can be homegrown or that it's okay to wing it or hope that the healthcare quality workforce or the larger healthcare workforce will figure it out. We need to work better together to achieve our quality goals. So at NAHQ, we have begun to take a major leadership role in aligning around the industry standard. As a quality organization, you can imagine and also appreciate, because you are people so focused on quality, the value of a standard, the value of the reference point. And so that's why NAHQ developed the Healthcare Quality Competency Framework that has 8 domains as listed here on your screen. It also includes 29 competencies and 486 skills stratified against foundational, proficient, and advanced levels. That can seem a little overwhelming, but I assure you it's not if you use it the right way. And how are people using it? They're using the framework as individuals to start to see where their career path may take them. And they're also helping organizations, it's also helping organizations lead their teams intentionally and holistically. And I'm going to talk more about both of those things in just a couple of minutes. So the competency framework, just by way of reference, streamlines the workforce knowledge, the competencies, skills, and actually helps with the readiness of the workforce to achieve the quality and safety goals so we can be aligned and working effectively towards our missions. Very important, because we are a quality organization. We have validated this instrument twice in the field, both by those doing the work and those leading the work who said, yes, that's what we should be doing to advance quality and safety. Also, this serves as the foundation for all educational resources and all professional development that's coming out of NAHQ, including the CPHQ. So every single piece of content from NAHQ is mapped to this framework so that individuals and organizations can be confident that they're developing the knowledge and the skills and the competencies around the core validated standard. Guesswork is now no longer needed. To make sure also that the knowledge and our content is most relevant and most current, we undergo a rigorous review process. And I also know that that's very important to people working in quality. We want to make sure that the standard is kept and kept up. So we make sure that we are assessing the growing and expanding role that quality is playing, that the quality professionals are playing, and that is being expressed throughout a variety of other contributors in the space, all the way from front lines to board and C-suite. So we will be issuing an expansion of the framework and some fine tuning of the framework next year. So you can rest assured that the healthcare quality framework is ever current and always ready as a resource to advance your quality and safety goals for individuals and teams. So the framework is very important. But what is as important is getting the industry to adopt it. And full-scale adoption is our goal. It is critical to advancing healthcare. Why? Because the industry is not clear yet or aligned yet on what quality and safety is. And we know they are not aligned yet because we have done research on this topic. So I'm here to share with you today a couple of data points from the research that we have conducted and help you see the new information that we have put together so that we can start to make more progress in advancing advancing against some of the challenges we have in healthcare. So let's start with what those challenges even are, and let's take a quick look at this research. So if we are going to be able to fully tap into the power of quality to address the challenges, we needed to understand the state of quality. So our research asked people working in quality and safety and in other leadership roles in healthcare how they defined quality. You can see here many of the quotes that we pulled out from the verbatim level feedback. Our research confirmed the hunch. There are many perspectives of what quality is, and they're all partially correct. But it's not ideal to have people having a sliver or a glimpse into quality, and it's definitely not ideal that we don't have a standard definition that they can agree on. And while there is alignment in some respects, in particularly with how quality and safety can impact patient care, healthcare leaders explained the way that they explained how they view quality and safety, both the process and the result of quality, was just a little bit different. So that told us we have some more work to do. When we moved beyond the verbatim comments and we tried to get the same group of stakeholders to really narrow down what quality and safety is by topic area, this is what we found. What I see here is an industry that is spread really thin, that's chasing a lot of requirements and a lot of ambitions for quality and safety. And we also see that there's a couple of topics that stand out: patient experience and care, reducing and addressing costs, and addressing the workforce shortages. So NAHQ has boiled these things down into 3 words: care, cost, and cliff. So I'm going to tell you a little more about each one. So care. 1 in 4 Medicare patients admitted to the hospital experience adverse events, and 43% of that harm is preventable. And that's just in acute care settings, which are reasonably well contained. As healthcare delivery becomes more complex with new primary care models, Medicare Advantage models, and we bring healthcare into new settings, even like hospital at home, it's going to be more and more challenging to achieve consistent, high quality, excellent healthcare. So care needs to be a focus. Cost. Healthcare costs are escalating at an unprecedented rate. That's clear to everybody. And until now, one of the main solves for this issue has been cost cutting. Get out the red pen and just carry on. Do more with less. However, with the influx of Medicare beneficiaries that will require late stage and end of life care that are going to be coming in hard and fast into the healthcare system, we need to have a new strategy, because do more with less will be challenged greatly unless we have new and inventive ways to do more with less. Which leads us, by the way, to our 3rd challenge: workforce cliff. The healthcare industry, as many of you, probably all of you, have experienced, is already facing workforce shortages, and this issue is about to get much worse. Today, in the United States, there are 7 working age people for every retired person. Let me say that again. There are 7 working age people for every retired person. And in 15 years from now, that ratio will be 4 to 1. There will be 4 working age people for every retired person. The reason for this is birthing. We have not birthed enough babies over the years to handle the tipping point we are about to experience. And so when we experience this reduction in workforce over the next 15 years, which is going to cut workforce in half, this drop is going to hit healthcare particularly hard, because along with the shrinking workforce, we have those ballooning number of retirees who will need increased healthcare support. The healthcare industry, unlike any other industry, is going to be facing this. People who are in the later stages of their life are less likely to buy a car from the automobile industry than they are to come and receive healthcare where you work. So now imagine all of this playing out in an already stressed healthcare system. Now what? NAHQ believes quality and safety is one lever that can address all 3 of these things, and we are leading the way. When we ask NAHQ members what they need the most to succeed, they tell us that they need for their work to be valued. And they also tell us that in order to have their work be valued, that they need their leaders to align on what quality and safety is, and they need their leaders to value quality itself. and understand it better. So we have taken this call to action, and NAHQ is engaging with leaders in very new ways to clear the path for people working in quality and clear the path for quality itself. Earlier this year, we convened a conference with some of the top leaders across the healthcare industry to focus on elevating quality. We shared our new research and our bold vision of what is possible. And then we got to work trying to identify some of the barriers that are getting in the way from leadership's perspective. And we started to solution a little bit and say, well, what would it take to get more leaders like you leaders to really understand and integrate quality and safety as a core strategy to advance your cause? We are looking forward to reconvening the think tank next year because we really got a lot out of it. And we also really like the opportunity to have these individuals learn more about our work so that they can be ambassadors for it too. We are also speaking leader to leader. We are getting in front of top leaders on a daily basis. And increasingly this message, and NAHQ as your advocate, is serving as your collective voice. It's getting exposure throughout thought leadership articles in important industry publications. We're sharing our expertise, we're sharing our vision in articles about making the connection between quality and finance. It was wonderful that the CEO of HFMA, the organization that represents CFOs in healthcare, and I were able to write an op-ed about the connection between quality and safety. Having those two leaders advancing that cause is important. And it was also really important that Modern Healthcare did a whole multi-page spread about advancing workforce quality and safety competencies. And all of that content was based on NAHQ's workforce report, which if you haven't looked at recently or ever, I highly recommend that you do that. So if we are going to make a real difference in advancing quality, it's not going to be enough for us to just say that we have the best solutions. We're going to need to shift perspectives. We're going to need to open eyes. We're going to need to talk to more and more people so that we can make the case for quality. And so we're doing that in a multi-modal kind of fashion. And one of those really exciting ways that we've done just that is through launching a national ad campaign where we are clearing the path for quality and we are clearing the path for you. You can't operate without it. It is healthcare quality, the big Q. Prioritizing it in the boardroom and in the budget is the only way to ensure it will perform in the operating room and across the entire healthcare system. Quality processes keep patients safe, reduce liability, and help teams work better together to achieve outcomes our patients deserve and our boards expect. Find out how to tap into the full power of quality at NAHQ.org. This campaign puts quality front and center, literally, by adding an undeniable, can't miss cue to settings where people don't always see it, or they don't always think about it, or they don't pay attention to it. We are trying to illustrate that it's always there, and it must play a key role in every aspect of healthcare, from the operating room to diagnostic care, where quality is not in the way, it is the way. We even show quality, and we especially show quality in the boardroom. When I arrived at NAHQ many years ago as the CEO, many board members gave me the charge and said, Stephanie, we need quality to have a seat at the table. Well, over the years, increasingly with the board's support and your active engagement as members and CPHQs, we've done that. The quality profession is light years ahead of where it was 10 years ago. And we're taking it a step further. We don't just want a seat at the table. We want a seat on the table. This campaign is designed to help make the case for quality and to make it everywhere so that stakeholders see it as a solution to address all of the healthcare challenges ahead of them. We know you're working really hard on quality and safety every day, and it's not always easy to be recognized. So this campaign is going to shine a light on what you are trying to achieve and the important work that you're doing. Not only is it going to be printed in leading trade publications, but we are also taking out a lot of digital advertising, and it will be displayed across social platforms as well. And we are sharing this with tens of thousands of NAHQ members and subscribers and healthcare leaders. So my ask to you is that you please look for this campaign and help get the word out about it. share it with your peers, share it with your leadership. Make sure if your leaders have a copy of Modern Healthcare on their desk that you pick it up and you show them that the inside front cover this week, this month, has this advertisement on it. And we're right there out clearing the path. And there's so much more to do here. And we look forward to sharing that with you. In addition to clearing the path, at NAHQ, we make sure that we're walking the talk. And we do that with education and certification that directly maps to the industry standard. NAHQ is the only organization that offers an accredited healthcare quality credential, the Certified Professional in Healthcare Quality. It is robustly maintained, as all of our content is, and highly sought after. This certification is another way that NAHQ helps individuals advance their careers and gives them that mark of distinction. Our research also, by the way, demonstrates that those who hold the CPHQ are consistently working at higher levels of the competency spectrum than their non-CPHQ peers. And this is true across all 8 domains of the competency framework. This was peer-reviewed research published in JHQ a couple of years ago, and it is standing the test of time. And we are very, very proud, not only of the certification, but how it is supporting our CPHQs. Speaking of that, CPHQs are also more likely to hold higher job titles, including director, executive director, and vice president. And today we have more than 15,000 CPHQs. So let's talk about what's coming up next. It's time to register for NAHQ Next 2024. So this event is very exciting and one of my personal favorites. It's a premier multi-day event where we bring the industry's top leaders together to advance the most urgent and important issues in healthcare. This year, we will be diving deep into challenges of care and cost and cliff. And we don't just talk about the problems at NAHQ. We help you walk away with actionable insights, clear how-tos, and real-world success stories so that this can be actionable in your organization. I'm really excited about the content that we've lined up. And last year and the year before, we had about 5,000 people participate in this event. Now, I know a lot of virtual events have fallen out of favor post-COVID, but I can tell you from our perspective, this is a thriving event that has super, super high energy. And in fact, it fills my cup. It also fills the cup, as I said, of about 5,000 other individuals who are registering for this. And it's just a real highlight of the year. So I highly encourage you, if you have not attended this event, it's the place to be, September 9th through 11th. And before we wrap up, one more thing I would like to talk to you about. I bring this topic up because I hear from people all the time, too much, too often. I didn't know NAHQ did that, Stephanie. So while I have a captive audience, I would like to tell you what that thing is. That is team training and a formal program for workforce development and quality and safety. NAHQ has the way to get the standards implemented inside healthcare organizations with direct support and direct engagement from the NAHQ headquarters team. We go where you work and we help you activate against the framework. So let me explain. Here's some photos that just quickly illustrate what's going on out there. Organizations as large as the Veterans Health Administration and Kaiser Permanente, and as small as Augusta Health in Fishersville, Virginia, are embracing NAHQ's industry standard competency framework, and they are partnering with us to train their teams. They are partnering with us to develop role descriptions and job descriptions. They're partnering with us to help organize and optimize the contribution of their team and increase their capabilities and to build capacity within their organization. And we're helping them develop succession plans so they make sure that they have a long-term plan to implement quality and safety effectively in their organization. This is a great support system, I can tell you, to leaders who need to lead and get great support from their team. Teams feel really supported with this as well. And it's especially true because when NAHQ comes inside the organization, we bring the framework, we bring all the resources and assets, and we help organizations understand how to make the wheel the way. I'm really excited about the feedback that we have gotten from the efforts that we have done so far. We've just been doing this a couple of years. But by working with NAHQ, organizations like Kaiser Permanente Northern California have streamlined their roles in their quality department. They have developed career paths and succession plans for every team member, and every single team member has elevated their contribution. And we have data to prove that. At Columbus Regional, I spoke with their leader the other day, yesterday, in fact, they are doing this work as well, and they are even including their clinical leaders. And we see that playing out in other organizations as well. Not only that, but these organizations are able to focus their quality programs. So supporting leaders, supporting individuals on their teams are able to move a whole program of quality and safety forward and advance their goals faster because they're working as a unit. So we're sort of approaching it both from the top programmatically and at the individual level too. So I personally had really high hopes that this was going to be an outstanding program. But I have to tell you, this has exceeded my every expectation, and the feedback we get is wonderful. So I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that, because I think it's one of the best kept secrets at NAHQ. So now it's not. I hope you have found this information helpful. I enjoyed sharing a quick overview with NAHQ with you, letting you have a little insight into some of the research that we are producing and will be publishing in the not too distant future, talking with you about some of the work that we're doing to clear the path for quality and safety, to get executives in the game with you, advancing quality and safety, and also to talk about some of the ways you can actually activate that work with CPHQ, NAHQ Next, and of course through some of our team-based solutions. So thank you for the opportunity to spend 27 minutes with you, just going through a quick overview of what we have going on here at NAHQ. And now is the time for Q&A. So I would like to introduce my co-panelists. We have here with me today, they will be coming on screen, Patty Resnick, who is the president of the NAHQ Board of Directors, April Taylor, who is president-elect of the Board of Directors, and Sharonda Fessler, who is a Strategic Advisory Council chair, also sitting on the Board of Directors. Additionally, joining the four of us is going to be Jennifer Pitts, who is Vice President of Programs and Products and Certification here at NAHQ. And I am now going to become a panelist, and Jen Pitts is going to take the lead as facilitator. So I'm going to pull down my screen now, and we're moving into Q&A. So let's begin that part of the program.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. So please do submit your questions. I have a few coming in now, but please add those to the chat. So I'm going to start the first question with Patty. You heard a lot of really great things Stephanie talked about. As president, what are you most proud of that NAHQ is doing?
Thanks for that question, Jen. I'm really proud of the way that NAHQ is advancing quality as a discipline. This is a longtime passion of mine. I've been in quality for a very long time, and as a respiratory therapist, I started my career in the acute care side. I have worked in population health, in virtual care, and hospital care at home. And in all of those roles, what has always been very important to me is that quality is everyone's responsibility and that it truly is a discipline. So I am very, very excited about the Q is You and the way that NAHQ is advancing quality as a discipline.
Thank you. Excellent. I have a question from Shanice. I'm not sure, does she want to ask that question? Go ahead, Jen. Okay, I'm going to ask the question for her. So I'm going to, Stephanie, this question will be for you, but please, Patty and April might want to jump in. So this question is about aligning quality metrics and definitions. Has there been any conversations at NAHQ headquarters about aligning quality metric definitions with CMS and TJC? I think we all know that even if the organization does everything right, there's an adverse event, and then they get a ding right, and the layperson doesn't necessarily know what that means. Is there anything that NAHQ is doing on that advocacy side, or what are some of our thoughts at headquarters around that?
Yeah, thank you for asking the question. And we are always in conversations with our industry partners, in particularly some of the divisions at CMS and also leadership at the Joint Commission. As a matter of fact, I spoke with John Perlin yesterday. We were on a Zoom together talking about how we can advance a common cause and common goals in quality and safety. So from our perspective, one of the things is first things first, we need to understand that quality and safety cannot just be seen as a box to check or a hoop to jump through, but it needs to be the way that organizations are oriented. And through that, we need to make sure that people are prepared to meet all of the standards and to take the work from meeting standards to excellence. And so that is really the plane that we are talking on with CMS and Joint Commission today, is around a meeting of the minds to say, what would it take to sort of move this whole operation forward? And then I think it would be reasonable to get into some more specific and tactical orientations on squaring off between alignments and definitions, and even some streamlining of metrics could be in the future. But right now, what we're working hard to do is to say, let's make sure that we're not advancing goals and aspirations for quality and safety without bringing that workforce along, and without honoring and respecting and validating the competencies that are needed to do that work really well. So in conversations, and certainly more to come.
I can also quickly chime in, being a healthcare quality professional. I know some of you guys have your camera on, so my question for you is, how many of you suffer from measurement burden? I know I do. How many of you, I think to the point that was made, have a patient that ended up with a DVT, even though we did everything right in terms of the prophylaxis, right? So that's getting dinged for it. I think just to piggyback on what Stephanie said, I'm going to give a shameless plug for NAHQ Next, because on the first day of NAHQ Next, there's actually some forums with CMS and with the Joint Commission, where I think very much there's an opportunity to talk about these topics and how do we better align for success. So we are very much, having those conversations and want to engage you as our healthcare quality professionals during NAHQ Next and asking some of those questions with our experts.
Great. So we have a question about CPHQ. So I'm going to ask Sharonda to take this one. Let's see, right here. So CPHQ is a pretty big investment, and we know that time, money, all of those kinds of things. Can you talk a little bit about how do you make it a priority for your team? And maybe you want to start, and then some others might want to jump in.
Yeah, thank you, Jen, and thank you guys for joining us today. Stephanie talked a little bit about NAHQ and the CPHQ and some of those competencies. And so when we look at us being the only accredited certification, for me and my team, as a registered nurse, we talked about the discipline, but we were always raised that you always get certified in whatever it is that you're doing. So for me, I lead by example by having the CPHQ. And so for my team, the expectation is that they get that certification as well, because that signifies you as that content expert. So as you're working in your organization, as you're trying to pull people into the fray, as Stephanie and Patty both said, quality is everybody's responsibility. But if you don't work in quality, you don't really have that really foundational knowledge of what that is. So having that CPHQ, for me, it's the expectation. So it's talking about, NAHQ Next, NAHQ Solutions, different opportunities you have to just engage in that. So we set that expectation. My organization reimburses for that certification. So it's really just making it forward facing and putting it out there and offering it to everybody. I don't know if anybody else on the panel would like to chime in as well.
Thank you, Sharonda. I can jump into, there was a question around, I think it was from Ellen, who was talking a little bit about, so the CPHQ and why do we have individuals track their own CEUs if not audited. I will, and Sharon is shaking her head because she was part of our HQCC who actually recently made the change to our policy where it is an attestation model. So like many organizations, this certification is self-proclaimed. And so basically you can go in and actually attest that you did all the CE, and only if you get audited would you actually actually have to submit your CEUs. We only audit just a small group of individuals per year, and that's per our accreditation. But we've actually tried to streamline that system because we know a lot of you have lots of other certifications and licensures that you're trying to track. And so we're actually trying to make that easier for you. So thank you, Ellen, for that question. I have a question for actually for Patty. So I know you've been really involved in, and you're actually on the agenda for NAHQ Next this year, which we're excited about. What are some of the new content or sessions that you're really excited about that we've put together for this year?
I'm super excited about the content this year. So starting with the Kaiser Permanente team, who's going to talk about how quality is not a cost, it's an investment. And I just love that title, and I can't wait to hear their presentation. As April mentioned, we have representation from the Joint Commission at NAHQ Next, as well as CMS. So excited to hear those talks. I'm doing a presentation on the connection between finance and quality. I have a lot of experience in the utilization management, population health space. There is a significant connection between the financial success of an organization and quality. So I'm happy to be speaking about that. So we really have 2.5 days jam-packed of an exciting agenda.
Great. Thank you. Just to follow up on that question, I'll throw this to Stephanie. So much of what I see in the quality arena seems to focus on hospitals, surgical centers, et cetera, but there's a great deal of care that occurs in small outpatient primary care facilities. What does or how can NAHQ provide support or resources to those who work in this type of arena?
Thank you for the question. We get asked this a lot, and a couple of responses to this. So first of all, just by way of background for some people who are newer to quality, why is quality, why does there seem to be a focus in the acute care setting and health system setting, is because that's where really the roots of quality have been planted. That was an area that was a first focus when it comes to quality and safety. So our deepest roots are there, and that's why you see that the most. That being said, quality should be and is being considered across the continuum of healthcare. And we agree it needs to be considered in every single facet, including the primary care environment and smaller clinics. For that reason, we've taken steps over the past few years to make sure that our quality competency framework, for example, is site agnostic. So if anyone is reviewing the competency framework, they would be able to see themselves in the work regardless of where they work. So that is one thing. Another thing that we have done is to make sure that when we offer content, whether it's our learning labs, which our webinars we host with some frequency, whether it's NAHQ Next content, that we are covering bases well beyond the acute care setting. You will see sessions on provider payer partnerships. You will see sessions on rural access opportunities and challenges, really population health and care transitions topics. So we cover the bases there. And then I would also suggest strongly that you take a look at the Principles for Healthcare Quality course. It is an online course. It's about 3.5 hours. It is an outstanding primer on quality and safety, and it was just updated. So whereas before it was more focused on the acute care setting, today it is 80% generalized with the quality toolkit competency kit as you were. And about 20% of that experience is a choose your own adventure. So once you get the basics, you could say, okay, but I work in primary care. Great. Take the primary care lane. I work in long-term care. Great. Take the long-term care lane, and more. So we have given very intentional focus on this issue, and we'll continue to do more of that. We believe strongly that healthcare is delivered where the people receive it, and that's increasingly a lot of different places. So on it, and we'll continue to do more of that without a doubt.
Awesome, Stephanie. Emily, she mentioned that she loves the word appreciate your site agnostic. There was someone who really thought that was great, that this is happening everywhere, and it's nice that we have a framework that can ebb and flow and be flexible with different work settings. So thank you. So I have a question, excuse me, that we get asked a lot, which is, there's a lot of different quality organizations out there. What is the difference between IHI and NAHQ?
I'll take it. Great question. There are a lot of quality organizations out there. There's a lot of safety organizations out there. And I think all of us serve a very unique purpose. So where NAHQ really comes to the table, I would say, is in the translational component. There are some organizations that focus on theory. There are some organizations that are focused on a lot of the direction of where healthcare is going, and others that are very technically and tactically oriented on solving a problem or creating a solution. Where NAHQ fits in the ecosystem of quality and safety is the place where the rubber hits the road. I think we're really good at understanding sort of the big picture issues in healthcare quality and safety, and we have the robust quality toolkit, but where we are at is in this translational component. And what I would say is not just all about solving problems, but creating problem solvers. From our perspective and where we sit with the competency framework, individuals will have and do have the capabilities to look at any challenge in healthcare, clinical, financial, operational, other, and really address that there. So we are rooted in that competency framework and make sure that everything we do is focused on that validated framework. And so we're feeling really good about that contribution, and also honor and respect what other organizations bring to the table.
Excellent, thank you. So I think we're going to go back to a CPHQ question. I'm going to turn this over to April. I know April has been part of the HQCC and for a very long time now. So April, CPHQ certification, if you took the class and did the study guides and all the materials, but we didn't pass, what are the other kinds of opportunities, or what are the different things you might recommend if you didn't pass, and how you might study further?
So number one, don't give up and don't become discouraged if you don't pass the first time. The CPHQ is a challenging exam. I think my primary recommendation would be look at the score report that you got back from the test itself and identify the areas where maybe you didn't perform quite as well, because within the actual exam, there's different domains that we test on, right? And so I know, for example, when I took the exam, now I took it a long, long time ago, and way back when there were more questions on, let's say, things like infection prevention or utilization management, but that's not what I did in my day-to-day. And so those were questions that I really struggled in. So when I took the practice exam, I knew like I really needed to dedicate more of my time studying those areas. So I think similar, if you took the exam and said, wow, I did really great in performance and process improvement and maybe like the regulatory section, but not as well on the analytics questions or on patient safety, then really focus your time on studying in those specific areas. And if you go onto the NAHQ website, for some of our learning labs that Steffi mentioned, or for some of our other resources, they're typically tagged with sort of that content area. So you can see those that maybe are more aligned with analytics or safety, and that can help you to sort of hone in on an opportunity to study.
Great advice. I actually have just recently took an exam myself for an association professional executive, and I did not pass it on the first time. But I am taking your advice, April, because there are definitely some areas. It's a very broad exam, right? And I focus much more of my time in certification education, but less in marketing and some of those other business areas. So I'm doing the same thing. So great advice. All right. So some additional questions. Can you, April, since you're already off mute, can you tell me a little bit more about, Stephanie was mentioning working with different organizations and convincing executives to make quality a priority. You recently were part of a boot camp, an executive boot camp that we've been piloting this year. Can you talk a little bit about your experience in convincing and making that business case?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a couple of different components to it. One, I think what's hard sometimes in making the business case for quality is that people don't understand it, particularly if they're not healthcare quality professionals. And so even like in the organization where I work, there's a lot of discussion around professional development focused in on nursing or respiratory therapy or in some of our other domains that folks feel very comfortable in, and they understand the path for professional development in those areas. But when we talk about quality, because it's an area that maybe folks aren't as comfortable in, they're not really sure, well, what do those pathways look like? And what should we be doing in that area? So I think one of the big things that we can do as healthcare quality professionals is educate folks. We can't assume that they really know or understand our business or our background. So educating them on that you can't operate it without it, right? That Stephanie mentioned before. Why is it so important? What is it that we should be doing and thinking about as an organization to invest in quality and invest in our quality workforce? Tying it to the business case, if you can. So what is that return on investment? If you can ideally reduce your hospital acquired conditions if you're in a hospital setting, but for those of you that are, let's say, more on the primary care side, you might be tying it in with HEDIS metrics. Certainly we have folks who are in other, industries as well. And so you can tie it in with sort of what your strategic objectives are as an organization. With that being said, it's not always about the money. We really also want to focus in on purpose and mission and what brings us to healthcare. So sometimes how I often get my, foot in the door or my seat at the table is connecting it back to our mission, vision, and values. We are here to provide the best care and service for our patients and our families. Let me tell you how quality professionals help to do that and why we need to invest in them in our workforce and how ultimately they can help us attain our strategic objectives and initiatives.
Great. Does anybody else have anything to add to that, Stephanie or Patty?
Jen, I would like to just add a few things and April brought up, just the great points. Couple other areas. So if your profession is care management, case management, utilization management, your work is directly tied to both patient engagement and to the financial success of the organization. So when you're making the case for quality, really look at those two avenues. The metrics that you're looking at around short stays and how you're managing short stays. The OIG just released a report last month on the 2 midnight rule. And they have some recommendations for CMS and how CMS should have oversight of that. In case management, you're directly responsible for the care transitions, which goes to the success of the patient not being readmitted to your facility or to any other facility. And then lastly, I do a lot of work in patient advocacy, and the way a patient defines quality is very different than the way some of the external agencies define quality. So take a look at what is the feedback that your patients is giving to you. And as April pointed out, quality has a huge role in making sure that we are addressing those patient concerns and really proactively setting up a system that supports patient-centric, what the patient wants us to do.
Thank you, Patty, so much. And Beth, a couple of individuals have said things around the CPHQ. So thank you for your comments. We definitely are looking at creating more practice exam questions and, helping those individuals who are looking to be successful at the exam. So thank you. This question is for Stephanie. So how do I become a NAHQ ambassador?
Well, of so many different ways. First and foremost, we would love to see you on the membership roster. That is incredibly important to be part of the NAHQ community. So if you are not already a member, please join. I think most of the attendees on this group are members, so renew. The other way that you can be a NAHQ ambassador would absolutely be to carry the CPHQ. Also engage with what we're doing on social media. The more and more people that understand what we're doing and sort of see all of the activity around our campaigns and our thought leadership and the content, the more chance we have of really making the standard stick and making sure that it is moving methodically and being embedded across the entire healthcare continuum. So just being out there and visible doing that is very important. There are also other ways to get involved with NAHQ if you want to come a little closer to the organization. We do have volunteer opportunities available. I will share with you as many as we have, which is a lot. We have a couple hundred, I believe, per year, different ways to engage. Some is a point-to-point engagement, others committee engagement, but we have a lot of them. The challenge is that we have thousands of people volunteering. So we often do have people disappointed that they weren't selected, but please try. Please submit your application. Please let us get to know you so that you can be an even more active ambassador for the organization.
Great. Well, Stephanie, that is our time. So do you want to add anything additional as we wrap up? Just want to thank everyone for their time. Everyone has been super engaged, and I feel like there's been a lot of individuals who've been to NAHQ Next here because they're using the chat just like we do at our conference. So that's excellent.
That's great. No, I just want to thank everybody for taking just about an hour to spend time with NAHQ today. I want to thank our panelists, the board members who are working tirelessly to advance this profession and advance this discipline with you, for you, and with our headquarters team. I just couldn't be more pleased with the way that things are going, and I am so excited about where we are going to take quality and safety into the future. So if there's anything we can do for you, if you have any ideas for us about how we can continue to clear the path for you, please make sure you email us. We will be sending a follow-up email, and there will be a link, I'm sure, that will, I know there is, that will provide you an opportunity to give feedback. And if you specifically want to reach out, we want to hear from you. So thank you so much. We are here for you. Appreciate you very much. Bye-bye.